welcome to Act Up, an incredible informative show where we talk to industry professionals who act down. And just so you know what acting down is, when I watch auditions, I will literally scream at my computer when an actor does an amazing job, and I'll say act down. All right. Well, we are so thrilled to have the incomparable Isaiah Jean here.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Clap it up.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and joining us on the show. You could have done a bunch of different places, but you're here.
Absolutely.
So thank you. Well, would you like something to drink?
Absolutely.
Nordia, bring it on out. Yes. So we have a 2019 red wine, bourbon barreled glass of wine. This is actually my favorite red, and I cannot drink wine right now because I'm pregnant.
Well, congratulations
Thank
to you.
But I would love to know what you think of that wine. And you drink wine. You had Camus last night.
I did. This is smooth. I like this.
See?
I like this.
Do you taste a little bit of like the smokiness from the bourbon barrel?
I do. It does taste smoky.
It's different, right? Now, I will say there's a sweetness to it from what I remember. And sometimes it's not sweet, but it has a little something to it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, cool.
It got volume, you know what I mean? Like,
thank you.
It's good.
Well, we have a little bit more for you. Thank you, Nordia.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'm having tea, so I will just enjoy.
Very healthy choice.
Yes,
Very healthy choice.
So, do you consider yourself an Atlanta native?
100%.
Awesome.
100%.
So this Atlanta native gets this huge recurring role on Snowfall, which is a LA vibe, everything show. So what do you think are some key elements that helped you not only land that role, but to have them keep bringing you back as well?
So for me, I started acting at 13, and I spent most of my years in my teens training.
Okay.
And I think that is very important for actors to just be ready, you know, for opportunities, especially when you're putting energy out there for you to want to book something. I want this opportunity, but when the opportunity comes, you have to be ready for the opportunity. So that process was very interesting. I booked Snowfall on a Wednesday, and I was on set Friday.
Really?
So I had like 2 days to really start my preparation for real for the character Leon. And yeah, that was a lot to cram into 2 days. A lot of research, a lot of conversations with John Singleton, Dub C, and yeah.
I have so many questions. I'm gonna go a little off script. So you got a chance to watch the legendary and work with the legendary John Singleton before he passed.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Life-changing.
Wow.
Yeah,
how was he as a director?
Oh, he's so motivational.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you do something good, he like, you keep behind the camera like, you did good, you know what I mean? And then when he come up to you, giving you a high five, like, he just wants you to be your absolute best. And he makes sure that the atmosphere was like conducive for that to happen.
Wow.
And as soon as I met him, like, it was like family off rip. He invited me and my mom to his boat.
Really?
Before we were filming, because he was like, I just want you to ask me questions.
Wow.
You know, because you're coming into this world, you're not from here.
Yeah.
Obviously, different generation. And so he just gave me an opportunity to just be more in a personable setting to ask him whatever I needed to ask him, to kind of get the understanding of what I was getting myself into with this character and the story.
I thought you were gonna say his home, and you said his boat.
His boat.
That's incredible. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congrats. That is a wonderful story too.
Yeah.
So what was the audition experience like? I know you said you auditioned on Wednesday and Friday you were on set. But like, what was that like? Were you already in LA? Did you fly in?
No.
Did you have, some people like, I auditioned 10 times for this. Like, what was it like for you?
Well, originally I didn't want to audition, so I always like to start there. I didn't want to audition because
why didn't you want to audition?
I was at a point in my career where I just felt discouraged, and I just felt like I wasn't getting the opportunities that I felt like I deserved. And a lot of it was because of my look. I didn't look like the parents or the family, or just didn't fit whatever idea they had for a character, and that it really usually was boiling down to that. So when I got the opportunity and heard about Snowfall, I was like, I don't want to do it. They're going to tell me I'm not black enough, because that's what I was
Oh,
hearing,
wow.
is that
Ooh,
I'm not black enough.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, it was a drug show, 80s, John
Mm-hmm.
Singleton. I said, yeah, I'm not even gonna waste my time. And at the time, I was a janitor. So I was a janitor, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and my mom was like, "Look, you're gonna audition for Snowfall." And I'm like,
What?
"No, I'm not." So we kind of went back and forth
Thank God for
for
moms.
a while.
Yeah.
But truthfully, even to backtrack that, there was an original pilot of Snowfall in 2015
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
John Singleton shot. He casted. It was a completely different, not completely. Most of the cast was different. Um, Once FX got their hands on it, they recast it in 2016, and that's when um, I found out about the audition. And even that, because I felt detached from it,
Yeah.
because I didn't want to do it, I think that kind of helped me just kind of just be in the moment and just really detach any feelings of anxiety or just wanting to book. It
Yeah.
really took it away. So I did the audition. My mom was like, "That was horrible," because I didn't want to do it. And so she made me redo it. She gave me some notes to make it better for her liking.
Mm.
And I just did it because I was like, you know what? I want to be done with it.
Yeah.
I did it, and I kind of forgot about it. And about a week later, they followed back up and said that they wanted to do fly me out for a chemistry with Damson.
Wow.
So at that point, I'm like, okay, this is cool. Then they sent me a pre-contract to kind of like tell me what I'll be making per episode. I'm like, oh, okay, it's getting kind of
Yeah,
real. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So they flew me out on a Tuesday. The callback was a Wednesday, and if I didn't book, I was supposed to fly back on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't tell my job that I was leaving. I didn't tell no friends. I just my immediate family,
Yeah.
knew that I was gonna go out to LA. So
Yeah.
me and my mom went out there, and we got there. We honestly, I didn't care about like studying the script. I was like, I want to enjoy LA. So
Yeah.
we walking down Hollywood Boulevard, like
Wow.
eating Johnny Rockets, like just really enjoying LA. And once I got back to the hotel, that's when I really started looking at the script and just going over and just kind of getting the mindset of the character. So we get to the studios on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, obviously this is the furthest I've been so far in my career. I'm like, okay, this is a callback in LA for a show. So I get there, there's other guys auditioning for Leon, and they're in complete LA attire.
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not booking this.
Yeah.
And so I noticed that Damson, before the other actors would go into the room, he would come out, build a quick little rapport with them, and then they'll go in the room together.
Yeah.
With me, he ain't do that. So they literally called me in a room and they were like, "You ready?" I'm like, looking for him to come out to greet me.
Right.
He ain't greet me. So I was like, you know what? All right, cool. I walked in and there was like 15 Fox executives in there.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So then I started getting nervous, and I was like, bro, you're too broke to be nervous, bro. Like, pull yourself together. Line. You know what I mean?
Wait, say that again. Say that line again.
You're too broke to be nervous.
That's
bro.
so good.
So I literally pulled myself together real quick. And they was like, yeah, we know we gave you these sides to study, but we're not going to worry about those. We want you to improv. I said,
oh, no.
Bet. So I was like, okay, cool. So they gave me the scenario. Me and Damson, we quickly built a quick little report. He's like, what's your name? I said, Isaiah. He said, oh, that's my nephew's name. So that was like the only thing we really connected with, in that moment. And we just jumped into the scene immediately. And it was natural. You know what I mean? It worked. And so literally in the callback, they were like, okay, we're going to give you a scenario. And we want you to basically just, the guy, it was Tommy Salami. He was like, I want you to cuss me out. Oh, white man. He was like, I want you to cuss me out. I'm telling you to turn down your radio and just cuss me out. I'm like, what? Okay. So I jump in, I do it. I'm going crazy. I'm just like, just letting myself be free and be in a moment. And afterwards, I'm just like, so that's it. Like, you know what I mean? So after that, I left. My mom was like, so how was it? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Like, they wanted me to, cuss them out. So it wasn't really what I was expecting. Hours go by. They reach out and they was like, okay, we want to pin him. My mom was like, look, we're scheduled to go back to Atlanta tomorrow, so you can't really pin him. Like, we need to know which I want. Because she bought herself a one-way because she was like, you're going to book.
Oh, come on, Faith. Yes.
So she was like, look, y'all can't pin him. Like, we're leaving.
Yeah.
And so they was like, okay, we're gonna call back. And then they called back and they was like, all right, tell him he can quit his job because we're gonna book him. So,
oh my gosh.
yeah.
That was such a good story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. Look at y'all. You know what? I have all these questions and I'm like, I could ask you stories about this. Like I'm so interested.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were a janitor.
Yeah, for like 2 years.
Wow, for 2 years. What was that transition like going from being a janitor to like a star on this show?
It definitely, because at the time I was 20.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a transition. But because I grew up with like a close-knit family, I always had my family like heavily involved with like my travel and just like everything I had going on. So it wasn't too drastic.
Okay.
You know, me and my mom was out there for the first month to film the pilot. And then when I came back to film the actual season, that's when I was really out there by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And once I got out there, I was in Compton chilling like with,
Wow.
I'm talking about OGs, just really trying to
Wow.
soak up
Just the
LA
yeah.
vibe and just understand the culture. So to that degree, I was like, I want to go a little method, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was really out there.
What was your preparation? So you said you were in Compton. So
Mhm.
was your preparation like just being in, you know, talking to people? Like, what was that preparation like? Because I'm thinking, you know, you're from Atlanta,
Mhm.
the South, going to the West Coast, and then a whole different generation than you. So what was that like?
So, like, it wasn't intentional for me to
Okay.
be out there in Compton. I'm into protection dogs.
Oh, okay.
So at the time I bought my first Doberman. I was like, okay, I want to get him protection trained. This trainer named Psych, South Bay Mall, I was in Compton. He hit me up. He was like, look, I'll train a dog. I'm in Compton. So I said, you in Compton? Okay, cool, perfect. I'll go down in Compton.
Yeah.
So I went down there and it just became like family. You know, everybody that was
Wow.
down there like was, you know, 45 and up as far as
Yeah.
age. So they had so much information for me.
Yeah.
And then I'm telling them about the show and they're like, oh, this is dope. So they just really like, you know, like, how are you wearing your pants? Like, you know, like, make sure it's like this. How are you doing this? So they really was like putting me up on game with understanding that era and
Yeah.
this character.
Wow.
You know, so yeah.
That's so dope. And then the next thing is like, you come into this audition, you have 15 executives there, which was already a shock.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is like, and they said improv. So had you already trained in improv before? Like, what made you confident that you would be able to improv versus maybe just doing the scene that you had rehearsed?
Truthfully, I think that for me, like growing up, I just had to learn to let go, especially with like acting and stuff. Like just let go and just be in a moment. So it's not that I even was 100% confident in my improv for a whole scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a like at a drop of a hat and not really no preparation. So I just had to let go.
Wow.
You know, I just had to get out of my own way and just be in a moment, see where that would take me.
You say let go, and I get it. That's good. But you're letting go in literally the midst of one of the most stressful situations that an actor has to go through. Like, there's one thing, it's like, okay, I can let go and I can, like, you know, we're on set. But having to let go and you not expecting that there's going to be all these executives here is a certain type of bravery and courage that I feel like a lot of people don't realize is a part of the gig, you know, because, oh, okay, I'm gonna trust everything that I've done up until this point, and just let whatever flows. That's wild.
Yeah, you gotta be fearless. You
wow.
got to. Yeah, you gotta be fearless.
So how many years were you on that show?
We did 6 seasons. With COVID, it was like 7 total. 7 and some change.
So I know that we always talk about getting the role.
Right.
But how did you let that role go? Like, how did you say goodbye to Leon?
Well, with the possible, you know, spin out coming up.
Okay. You're like, I ain't said goodbye yet.
I ain't fully let go yet. But no, I noticed that the first few seasons, like coming home after our film, because what I did was John always was like, look, you should keep Atlanta home.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, you should keep Atlanta home.
Oh, why? I mean, yes, but why?
Truthfully, he was just like, because one, that's my foundation. He was like, obviously it's cheaper, but it's just let LA be what it is. It's not going nowhere.
Yeah.
And he was like, he just always felt to just tell me to just keep Atlanta home.
That's beautiful advice.
Yeah.
Okay,
So after we would film a season, I would go back home.
Wow.
And just be back at home until we will film the next season.
Yeah.
And at that time, it took a while. It took a few seasons to really detach from Leon fully.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming home hot.
That's why I asked, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming home, yeah.
It's to me, I feel like it's such a role where you have to be so ingrained in the world of it that I'm like I have friends who we did a show 8 years ago and they're still quoting lines, like it's still in them. Do you feel like Leon is still in you, a part of you?
I feel like as an actor, every role you portray is just a version of you. And like, you know, to a degree. So I think that I think it's impossible to fully let go. Yeah. Because that's just another version of Isaiah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That gets to come out to, you know, in this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that for me, I just had to detach from the emotions that the character had to carry.
Absolutely.
You know, because they were heavy.
Oh.
Yeah,
so I read this beautiful article and it talks like we don't talk enough about what actors have to do to portray these really emotional scenes. And they mentioned like Heath Ledger with Batman. Like we don't talk about everything that he had to mentally, emotionally, physically endure to be able to just live in that space. And so that's why I'm like, you know, having that process of, like you said, of letting go, of recognizing, but not taking on that emotional weight, because you don't want to bring that into your real life. You know, you want to keep that for the stage or for the screen. So interesting. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, hopefully we get a chance to see Leon again. So we'll see.
You know, we will see for sure.
So I love to talk about process. I love to talk about training. I love to talk about the steps of you creating this character. So when it comes to training, do you still train? And then did you train while you were doing this role?
So do I still train? Absolutely.
Okay. And who do you train with?
Man, who I train with? The GOAT. So I go to Carl Ford. He's in New York. His mom's Susan Batson.
Oh, nice. Yes.
They are like...
That's her son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I trained with him for the first time when I was 17.
Wow.
And we did a 1 week long intensive when he came to Atlanta, and that's when I met him. And we would train from like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Wow.
It was like an overnight. So I was like, my second semester in 9th grade, I chose to get homeschooled so I could really give my career and really study.
Wow.
So I had the time and the luxury to be able to do a workshop like that, where it's like overnight. You didn't have to worry about school or anything like that. But yeah, Carl Ford, he's like, and I think that not every coach works for every actor. Mm-hmm. I think that he's able to communicate to me in a way that I just understand, and he's able to like really get me to push myself.
Yeah,
you know, because like I didn't know that I was able to go as far as I'm able to go without him pushing me.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I consider him like my little secret weapon for sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. So one of the previous actresses that we had, she's like before every audition, she meets with the coach. Is that something that you do as well?
It's not something that I do. It's more so like as needed.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that that's very smart, you know, for an actor to utilize. Like the way I look at my career, I kind of like look at it. I see my career like so far in advance. Like I'm already 20 years down the line in my head.
Ooh. And what does that look like 20 years down the line? Man. I don't want to keep interrupting you, but you keep saying stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't want to forget it. But yeah. So what does Isaiah 20 years from now look like for you?
As far as like my career is concerned, that part is not necessarily as clear. It's I'm more so focused on the impact that I want to have with my career.
Love that. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I just want to be intentional. I don't want nothing to just be like in vain and just like for no reason. It just has to make sense for me. For me to enjoy it.
Yeah.
For me to enjoy it.
I love that you are thinking about that now.
Yeah.
And I love that you said 20 years too.
For sure.
Because one of the things we were talking about is like, actors and artists like taking their time too. Like, I think if you look at like, this is a 20-year journey
There's
for
no
me.
rush.
There
Yeah.
is no rush. There's no rush. Like, I am like, you're gonna grow and evolve in so many different ways,
Right.
and allowing yourself to do that versus like having to quote unquote make it, whatever
Right.
that is now, is
Right.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So good. So I want to go back a little bit to John Singleton telling you, like, keep Atlanta home. So you've worked in Atlanta, correct? You've worked in LA. Is there a difference for you? If so, like, what is that difference?
For sure, there's definitely a difference. A difference in culture. I think set etiquette. But for me, I think that it's just Hollywood and LA is such an old machine.
Yeah.
And everybody's so accustomed to knowing how serious people, like real actors, take their art.
Yeah.
And I think that the Atlanta market is still fairly new to understanding how serious certain actors take their craft.
That's good.
Because a lot of actors, there are a lot of actors who don't take it as serious. So
Yeah.
they can be on set and bullshit around. But you're not going to experience that in like a LA or New York or,
And I was gonna say, so what did that look like? You talk about set etiquette,
Yeah.
and actors taking their craft seriously. Like, like, what did that look like? What you experienced from other actors, or even from yourself being on set?
Shoot, I mean, just as an example, like if we're in the middle of filming and like somebody's phone going off or somebody talking too close to set and it's distracting, it's like I feel like, and this is just personal experience. I'm
Yeah.
not, I can't speak for every set here in Atlanta or LA, but at the end of the day, it's just from what I experienced, it's like people like when it comes to storytelling and action and cut in LA, it's like it shuts down. Like in action, it shuts down. Like you will get chewed out or kicked off a set if you're disrupting what the actors are creating because you don't know what moment they're about to have that could be magical.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it has nothing to do with you in a moment.
Yeah.
But I think that, and like I haven't worked in Atlanta since for forever. Like it's been over 10 years anyway.
Really?
So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was very new back then. You know what I mean? Like very new. Like filming in Atlanta was like still new back then, so.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Because it kind of informs my next question too. So I was gonna ask, like, so you go from this huge show, you go from Snowfall, and then what does it look like post Snowfall? So, do you have to go back to auditioning again? Would you consider yourself like an offer only? You're here in Atlanta, so the previous guest, she's in Atlanta, but she actually doesn't have any Atlanta representation. Like, do you still have reps, or do you have reps in LA, or like what is that post, being on this big successful show, 6-7 seasons, look like once that show is ended for an actor?
Well, unfortunately, it's like as soon as Snowfall ended, we had a strike.
Pandemic, strike,
2 strikes,
virus,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I didn't really get to bask in that moment for real, and what that would have felt like.
Yeah.
So it just feel like I'm back at square one.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, for real. Yeah.
Wow.
Which I feel like it's cool because I'm a student of life. So to me, I'm looking at this opportunity. I've been sitting for the last 2 years and just understanding, like, I took this time to just learn myself.
Okay.
And to know what I want to incorporate into my art. And yeah, I've been on a mental and spiritual journey. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, do you teach at all? Or
No.
do you speak? Really?
No.
That's so interesting. I feel like you have there's a lot of wisdom that I feel like is coming from you, from what I feel. That's amazing. So, do you have any role models? I know that you mentioned Carl Ford. Do you have any role models in this business? Like, is there who's that person that keeps you on this path, that keeps you going? Like when things get discouraging, you mentioned kind of sitting back for the past 2 years because the industry is kind of figuring itself out. So like, who is that role model, that person that speaks into you?
Role model. It's not really like words I typically use. I think that when I need motivation, or if I like want to continue on keeping my mind on my career and what I see for myself, like my favorite actor is Marlon Brando.
Ooh.
Because I feel like he's not the only great actor in the world.
Yeah.
But he was always unapologetically him, and he spoke whatever truth he felt. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
in any moment, to me, I feel like that's like, even with him not going to the Oscars, when it's like, to me, I'm like, I asked the question why to a lot of things, and I'm like, why? Like, why wouldn't you go? Or like, I just want to know why so I can learn.
Yeah.
So I study Marlon a lot, and I respect his art a lot. And so I would say, like, when I need any kind of like motivation on my journey, I would look at a Marlon Brando interview, or anything like that. So that's as close as of a role model.
That's
I feel
good.
like what I mean.
I feel like you talk about, like, to me he's the master of authenticity.
For sure.
And he's managed in his life and in his art,
For sure.
So like watching him perform, I don't know who does effortlessness as well as him. Like, it almost doesn't feel like
you're even watching the movie.
Yeah, it literally is like, oh, this is just, you've just kind of, there's a comfort that he has in himself,
right,
that I think very few actors, really master.
Right.
So that's good. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So the next portion, I have questions that we ask everybody who's on this show. I have answered these questions, and now you will have an opportunity to answer these questions. So first up, now you're anybody who's born after 89, I think of as a baby. So to me, in my head, like, you're a youngin'. But my question to you is, what has been your favorite age thus far, and why?
Right now, I've just turned 29.
That is
and
yes.
Yeah, I would say 29 because, like I said, I'm a student of life, so I know the most right now than I have, in my life. And I think that I really value information and wisdom and knowledge. So right now for sure.
I will say, how has this decade, or what has this decade of, as you're, 29, and will you be 30 this year?
Yeah.
Okay. So what, welcome to the 30 Club. So what has this decade of your 20s taught you?
Really, I learned how to just face myself. And I feel like a lot of people are afraid to face themselves and to deal with themselves because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's why I got uncomfortable tatted on my hand.
Oh.
Because it's like, in order to grow, you have to be uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
You don't grow in comfort. So I kind of like stay, not purposefully sometimes, I stay in uncomfortable, positions, like, because it's just, I don't know, I'm obsessed with growth. I'm obsessed with just like not being stagnant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to continue to evolve and grow and be able to be a vessel to, anything that I learned in my life, to just be able to pass it on. Because I think that that's the purpose of life, to just not live for yourself.
Yeah.
To live for those around you as well, and to want to give something, to leave something here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're not going to be here forever.
For sure.
So yeah.
I feel like that's definitely a lesson that I'm so grateful that you have gotten that in your 20s, because I think most people get that like in their 30s,
Right.
So the fact, it feels like you're a little ahead of the game there. So that's dope.
Yeah.
So if you weren't an actor, what would you be doing?
I feel like I'll be a veterinarian.
Oh.
Y'all probably wasn't expecting that one.
I love that. I have a little puppy in there that we have literally been concealing so she didn't bother y'all, but I love that.
I'll probably be a veterinarian.
Wow. Yeah. And so, like, you mentioned that you have like protection dogs.
Yeah.
So you currently have protection dogs, Doberman. Wow.
Well, I have a Doberman, I have a Belgian Malinois.
Wow.
And 2 cats.
Wow.
He didn't want to say 2K. Cause they not, hey, cause they not mine, but they
They're not
there.
his.
They
But
there.
I have a little Bichon, half Shih Tzu. So
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
We decided not to bring her out because she's aggressively affectionate. So we wanted to let you not have a dog in your face. All right. So do you prefer brunch or happy hour?
So look, on my way here, I was like, brunch or happy. I'm like, does that mean like one that I prefer alcohol with happy hour or like
you can have alcohol mimosas with brunch.
You could. Nah, I'll say happy hour. I like I'll say happy hour.
Okay.
Yeah, brunch is cool.
Now, have you found a good happy hour in Atlanta? Because Atlanta struggles with happy hours.
So my favorite food is sushi.
Oh, okay.
So like I go to this place called Oku.
Oh yes, yeah.
They have a great happy hour there.
Okay, nice. I think I've been there once.
It's so amazing.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Oku, all right. So, what do you love about being an artist in the Atlanta Southeast area?
I love being in nature, and like I live on 44 acres, so
wow.
I just I'm always outside.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm always outside, and having that luxury to not have any neighbors.
Yeah.
And to really just kind of decompress from the world. I love that, and the fact that I'm an artist, it just helps me just like because I stay in nature and because I like to like find a spiritual and find God in everything. Mm-hmm. So like I think nature and being in Atlanta helps, and me coming back from LA to Atlanta helps kind of decompress. And it helps me artistically as well.
Yeah.
So
whenever I hear like, you live on like 44 acres, like I immediately think like generational wealth. Yeah. And there's something about, I feel like having large amounts of land that for future generations, it's like it feels like that's a part of a family. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, I was on set and I was on my phone on Zillow. I was like, bro, I need to get a crib with some acres. So I found it. I was in LA. I had my mom go look at it and she was like, yeah, I think it's perfect. So I had put in an offer before I even saw it in person.
And 44. Yeah. So how do you even like manage or tend that? Do you have people helping you or is that just you? Wow. That's what you've been busy doing. You got to take care of all that land. Yeah. My goodness.
It be taking me like 10 hours to cut my grass.
Are you serious?
And I'll cut it straight. With no music, I'll just be out there just.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm like, do you have like, is it like a farm? I'm like, is there like are you gonna get horses or something?
Not yet. I plan on getting like some cows and some chickens and some goats eventually. So,
Nice. Yeah. Do you have like a sacred space for yourself on that land? Or do you think that the whole thing is?
Yeah, I just go for a walk.
Okay.
Go through my wooded areas. Like I just. Nice. Like I know that whole property like the back of my hand. Now.
Wow, so, that's incredible.
Outside,
Wow, I love that. I love that. All right, so what's the most challenging thing that you've done lately? And this could be anything. It could be physically, emotionally challenging. What's the most challenging
thing? Face fears.
Ooh.
Yeah, face fears.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking, like, what is that? You don't have to get detailed, but like, what does that look like for you?
Understanding what fear is.
Ooh. What is fear?
Fear is fear is faith in the negative.
Yeah.
And so to me, if you have fear, then that means you have a lot of faith that something is just going to go bad.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, that doesn't have to be your truth.
Yeah.
And so learning that and accepting that was I'll say the most recent challenge that I had to face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a book reader? Are you like what? There's, like I said, I feel like there's so much wisdom in you. So where does that come from? Is it books? Is it podcasts? What do you think that comes from?
Truthfully, I feel like since I was a kid, I just like I felt. Because even the reason why I wanted to start acting in general, it wasn't because I just love acting. Like I was 13. It was more so because I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Like I knew that I wanted to like be a leader and be an example for people to be able to follow. Because I feel like a lot of people follow people that they feel like are one way,
Yeah.
but behind the cameras and behind closed doors, they're really not like that.
Yeah.
And so to me, I feel like one thing that doesn't lie is energy. And so I just always focused on being self-aware and just learning myself since I was a child. And so I just got into reading books, like a lot, self-help books and certain podcasts.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm always learning.
Nice,
Yeah, always
nice.
learning. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so last question. What makes you feel alive?
Makes me feel alive. I'll say right now, like my son.
Aww.
Yeah,
how old is your son?
3.
Aww, that's nice.
Yeah, he look just like me too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What is it that he does that makes you feel alive?
His personality, he just like he's unapologetically himself, you know, and he's like, you're gonna accept me, and I'm like, I am, you know what I mean? So it's just like, just watching him grow. He's going through so many, so many changes. He grows so fast. He's so smart, and just like watching him develop, I'm like, wow, like this is so crazy. I'm studying him.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So, and I'm able to pour into him and teach him a lot of self-awareness at a young age too. So that stuff is cool as well. Like what he's able to pick on, what he understands, like that right there is definitely giving me life for sure.
That's so sweet. Yeah. I love that. Awesome. This has been such a gift. I mean, I feel like I've seen you, auditioned your sister, but I feel like, and I, of course, seen your work, but there is so much more behind, you, Isaiah John, the actor.
Yeah.
So it's been such a gift to just be able to kind of have like a little glimpse into like, oh, there's so much more behind that. So thank you for coming and for being vulnerable and for sharing. This is beautiful.
No, literally, I'm gonna tell you how this came about for me.
Yeah.
I told myself I wasn't gonna do interview. Like I told myself like 2 years, I'm not gonna do interviews for a few years because I just want to like really develop myself.
Yeah.
You know, and know what I want to be intentional when I talk. So literally, I got in my car and I'm big on just like numbers and just all kinds of stuff. And I saw the random number 116. I said, you know what? You know, I'm going to take that as a sign. Like I'm gonna expect something by January 16th, right? And then so my mom texts you like, hey, you have a opportunity to do a podcast interview on the 16th. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing interviews, but that's a sign. So
Come on, yes, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And even knowing that, I'm like, that makes it even more special. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I'm like, it feels like you have so much to give.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel really special that we got a part of that because I know that there's like, there's a lot.
For sure.
I'm like, I could have just kept on going. I'm like, I don't want to get too much, but it's like, I feel like there's a lot there. So thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on. You are amazing.
I appreciate you.
All the best to you on your journey. Again, incredibly proud of you.
Thank you.
I know that there's a lot more in store, so we'll be watching for sure, all right?
I appreciate it.
Give it up for Isaiah John. Woo! Thank you.